You are listening to NewVision, Oldways, the podcast that explores timeless wisdom for the modern mind in a fun, relaxed, and most important, interactive way with you, the listener. I am your host, Tony Marinaccio, and let's get the episode started. Welcome back to NewVision, Oldways, and I cannot thank you enough for joining me. I appreciate all of my listeners. I really do. Hopefully, you have listened to episode 11. That's the first episode in season 2, and I'm hoping it helped you with finding a new vision for your life. This episode will concentrate on why so many of us can be stuck in our old ways and that new vision for your life may never happen. Nothing is more important than our lives, and giving us the best chance to make the most of what we have to offer is vital to living a fulfilling and happy life. But how and why is it so easy for us to slip back into the same old, and never progress? Well, today, let's dig in and find out what some of those roadblocks are and how we can steamroll right through them. Before we begin, though, I really hope you had a chance to listen to my interview with author Joe Barnes in episode 12. We went over a lot of stuff, and I once again thank him for doing that. We could have talked for much longer, and there is so much more we could touch on. So hopefully we can get him back on to NewVision, Oldways again and tap into his great concepts. And what about the last episode, my early 90s interview with Doors keyboardist Ray Manzarek? Even with the lower quality audio, I think he touched on so many things. And I did that episode for a fun break from all the seriousness that these episodes have. And I hope to do more things like that as we go along. It's my podcast, and, well, I can do whatever I or we want. That's the point, right? So with that being said, let's get back to this episode. So everyone, if you are feeling stuck in your old ways, there is no better time to break out of that cycle and forge ahead with a new, better perspective for your life. So without further ado, let's start this episode, Stuck in Your Old Ways.
Feeling stuck is a signal. Being stuck is one of the most universal feelings of the human experience.
You can get trapped spinning what-if thoughts all the time.
You're convinced that you're not good enough. You're convinced that it's too late. You're convinced that other people are going to judge you. And I'm here to tell you it's total baloney.
That was an American presenter and author, Mel Robbins, and what she said there is so important. Many of us, including myself at times, have been so stuck in past events and old ways that no matter how much we say we want things to change for the better, we just never do what we need to do in order to have that new vision that we spoke about in episode 11. We can easily convince ourselves that we are stuck, and there's nothing you can do about it, right? And as she said, that's baloney. One of the things that I have always tried to not do is have big New Year's resolutions, because most of the time when I made major changes in my life, it happened, well, nowhere near the New Year's and had nothing to do with any New Year's resolutions I may have actually made. My point is, now is the time. I get it. There are life events that cause you to feel like you don't have the time at the moment, or any other excuse that we tell ourselves, but you can still start your journey even under the most difficult of circumstances. And I believe there are several reasons why we stop ourselves from doing what we know we should. If we go back to some of the meditation exercises I spoke of in previous episodes, you will find ways to take moments and calmly, without judgment, look into yourself. Let your inner voice tell you why you feel stuck. Taking moments to journal those feelings and bring to light the issues that really honestly plague you. And like I said, be honest with yourself and realize it's okay to have these feelings, but now is the time to deal with them. Writing them down forces you to see them right in front of you. Some of us may need help to get to that point, and that is always okay. The key is to get there. And when you do, get to the point where you can look into yourself and be comfortable enough to understand what is holding you back, then you can start the journey of healing and excelling, which is the big part. You do not have to solve every problem you're having all at once either. Chip away at the ones you know you can change immediately. Any progress that you feel is better than no progress at all. And I know in my life, having gone through a divorce that was a difficult life change to say the least, I saw healing when I did the most mundane things. I took time to dig into different rooms in the house, cleaning, sorting, rearranging, changing the rooms as I went. And as mundane as those tasks were, I realized that life goes on. Things can be different and it's okay. Changing a room around to fit your new life circumstances may not seem like a life-altering project, but for me, at the time, I have to say it was. And from there, I even started cooking family dinners for Thanksgiving and Easter. I had never done anything like that before, but it was a challenge. And what a sense of accomplishment I felt when I realized I can not only do that, but life is really going to go on and there is a future. So now, once you have that list of reasons we feel stuck, don't be afraid to change that list as you go. Be flexible in your thoughts and realize things change. The roadblocks may change as well. Here's a key. Having rigid beliefs and mindsets can often hurt the progress of getting a new vision because you limit yourself to what you are willing to do. You're not setting certain goals because you don't believe they will ever be attained, being down on yourself, worrying about what other people think, etc. Instead of a rigid mindset, do everything you can to cultivate a growth mindset. Embrace learning, challenge assumptions, and be open to new perspectives. Read books, attend workshops, and engage in conversations that expand your horizons. Any of these things can spark a new hope, a feeling of healing. Otherwise, if you don't at least try something, the roadblocks will never be torn down and they will keep you stuck in neutral. The roadblocks can manifest themselves in many ways, and you may not have the tools to be able to cope with them. So let's run through my top 5 reasons why we stay stuck in neutral or stay stuck in the past and what we could do about them. Let's start with dwelling on the past. For me, I have been guilty of this many times, and all it does is it makes the present issues worse than they are because you are now adding to the current problem with the old problems you cannot do anything about. Living in the past makes you replay negative memories or ruminate on what could have been. This prevents full engagement with the present. That's very important. I'll say that again. It prevents full engagement with the present. We are living in the now. Only in the now. The past is gone and cannot be changed. The future isn't here yet. So what is more important than the now? We all have to realize what a waste of time and energy it is mulling over past events or who hurt you. You are alive now. Understand that you are in control of the now, which by default makes you in control of your future. So a possible solution to living in the past is practicing mindful meditation. I have brought this up many times because I believe it is important. And so get alone, meditate, and let your thoughts be positive. Concentrate only on what you can control now. Give your full attention to the present. Your past is your past, and concentrating on it will only distort your reality. Focus on creating new positive memories and appreciate the present without comparing it to the past that cannot return. And in many cases, you don't want it to return. We need to stop dwelling on the past. So remember, without those mistakes, you wouldn't know how to move forward now. Respect the lessons it gave you. Don't lose your present to your past. And that brings us to the second reason why we can easily stay stuck is the dreaded regret and guilt we feel. No one is tougher on myself than myself. And I really have to be adamant about making sure I do not slip into a regret guilt mindset. I do not like to fail at anything. And when I do, I sometimes make sure I suffer for it. And that, my friends, takes the steam out of any forward progress in a big way. It's again about the energy and time we take beating ourselves up over things we cannot go back and change. We may avoid making new choices due to the fear of repeating those past mistakes. So past failures can haunt us if we let it. I personally believe that anyone who says that they have no regrets, just look at where I am now, is either full of it or kind of a crappy person, in my honest opinion. If you have no regrets about how you treated people or acted, just because the end result came out okay, is like saying, hey, I know I shit on you, but that's okay. I'm good now. We should not dwell on past regrets. That causes guilt, but learn from them. Grow with that knowledge and improve yourself. And yes, apologize if necessary, but then move forward with your newfound better ways. The best way to rid yourself of regret and guilt is to be better, a better person to others and yourself. Then you could be free to look at new opportunities and move forward. Reframing failure is a learning opportunity that helps you understand that the past does not have to define you. And again, I'll say that one again too as well. Reframing failure as a learning opportunity helps you understand that the past does not have to define you. That to me is huge. The past does not have to define who you are now. Concentrate on that and make the present all it can be. And those past regrets and associated guilt will become a life lesson, not a reason to be stuck in the mire. But we need to find the courage to overcome our past regrets. And that brings us to the third reason we can get stuck. And it's another big one, the fear of change. I get it. Staying in a comfort zone and having a routine that you stick to is easy. In fact, it's too easy and it's too safe, even though it's familiar at all times. And some find comfort and solace in that. Deep down, many still feel unfulfilled because they don't try anything out of the box that they live in. Routines provide stability, but they can also become prisons. We force ourselves to stick with what's familiar, even if it no longer serves us. We settle for mediocrity, losing ourselves and becoming nothing more than a robot of sorts, just going through the motions. And another version of this is perfectly stated in a book by author Tripp Lanier called This Book Will Make You Dangerous. It states, according to Harvard professor and happier author Tal Ben-Shahar, many of us aren't experiencing fulfillment because we're living in a constant cycle of deprivation and relief. When we are on the hamster wheel, our experiences tend to oscillate between feeling fearful and merely relieved, which is another way of saying when we are in a survival mentality, no matter how much success we create, our constant need to move away from threats means that relief is about as good as it gets. And if you are feeling this way, and it's okay to admit it, there are ways to break out of this cycle. You can embrace change incrementally at first, make small adjustments to your daily life, align things more to your core values, and gradually step out of your comfort zone. Try new experiences and explore different perspectives to challenge your routines. Remember, the saying, Rome was not built in a day. Well, neither are we. These gradual adjustments can, then lead you down roads you never thought you'd enjoy traveling on. You will then realize further things you can change. The more you do this, the mediocre life that you were living will become a more happier and fulfilling life. Yes, it's possible, but it's the stoic idea of courage that we talked about in episode 2 that comes in handy here. It does take courage to make those even small changes, and you may run into some resistance, which brings us to the fourth reason why we feel stuck, the dependency on external validation. Fritz Perls, a German psychiatrist, once said, "Our dependency makes slaves out of us, especially if this dependency is a dependency of our own self-esteem. If you need encouragement, praise, pats on the back from everybody, then you make everybody your judge." That makes so much sense. And that, my friends, is a powerful statement. It is nice when I get a compliment on my work or my podcast, but if I had let the judgment of others dictate to me whether or not I even tried to do a podcast, then, well, I may have never felt the confidence enough to forge ahead and do it. Seeking approval from others has a nasty way of keeping us stuck in our old ways. A nasty comment from a friend or a relative or a coworker can easily squash our dreams and keep us right where we have been, the old stuck in the mire feeling. This is why I tend to harp on the idea of getting alone, meditating, listening to your inner voice, and let that be your guide. You do not have to listen to anyone who puts down your dream with no clear reason why. You can politely dismiss it and let it go. The ones who love you will support you. The ones who feel the need to squash your dreams simply because they are not willing to try anything out of their little box that they live in can watch you succeed from the sidelines. I know I'll be dating myself again, but remember the old show, The Love Boat, and the theme song, Set a Course for Adventure, Your Mind on a New Romance? Well, that's what you need to do. Set a course Get your mind on a new adventure and tune out the negative voices. This will help you build confidence so you can validate your own choices based on your core values and aspirations. Seeking feedback is okay, but do not rely solely on it. You are the king or queen of your life. You are in charge of your mind. Do not let anyone steal your faith in yourself. And that brings us right to the number 5 reason why we stay stuck in our old ways.
If you have a human brain that likes to tell you why you're not good enough, smart enough, competent enough, capable enough, worthy enough, lovable enough, whatever that is that it's telling you you are not enough of, and it's causing you to really get stuck in self-doubt. And because of that self-doubt, you are holding yourself back, or at the very least, feeling kind of miserable a lot of the time. Self-doubt is something that hits very near and dear to my heart because it's something that I struggled with a lot for kind of a long time. And coming out the other side of it, I can tell you it is worth doing the work to overcome it because of how much more free and full and alive and connected and happy you feel, and how much more able you are to just go for the things that you want in life and just try things and experiment with things and experience things without that nagging little voice telling you why you shouldn't or you can't or you're not worthy of it or you're not good enough for it or whatever that is. So let's clear out some of those cobwebs of self-doubt so that we can clear the way forward without it, or at least without quite so much of it.
That was registered counselor Julia Christina, and a link to her YouTube channel is in the show notes, so please check that out. And what she was talking about overcoming is maybe, at least to me anyway, the biggest reason why we get stuck in our old ways, and that is not having faith in ourselves. Like I mentioned before, I am my own biggest critic, and when we continuously beat ourselves up over the past, it really diminishes or completely removes any faith that we have in ourselves to accomplish the dreams that we do have. Have you told yourself that whatever is of interest to you looks too complicated to accomplish? Or do you say, I don't even know where to begin? Or is someone telling you stay in your lane, so to speak, and know your place? Do you feel like you are not smart enough, not charismatic enough, not worthy enough to follow your dreams? Well, as Mel Robbins said from the very beginning of the show, that's baloney. How can we get past those feelings? Well, one way is knowledge. Remember that the saying, knowledge is power, it really is. Educate yourself, and that is so vital to having faith in yourself. Read up on things that you are interested in. Gain knowledge from many different sources. Give yourself the tools to be confident that you have a solid base to work from. Talk to others that will give you honest and valuable insights. Couple that with your research, and you will realize that you can do this. I had no idea how to get a podcast up and running. I went online, took a few classes that walked me through the process, and once I purchased the correct equipment, I practiced. I recorded several things, edited them, got them ready to publish without ever actually wanting to publish those particular things. But once I ran through it a few times, I went for it. And now that was one of my dreams that actually did come true. And you know what? I did it. I may not be Bill Maher or Joe Rogan, but I'm now in 6 total countries, at least at this moment, and all across the USA. So I must be doing something right. So the point is, I was nervous about it. And just like anyone would be when they begin a new adventure. But when I armed myself with the knowledge that I needed, I felt like I could do it. And NewVision, Oldways is off and running. Lack of faith in ourselves can be a major factor in our personal lives, our social lives, our professional lives. It can cause us to feel overwhelmed, anxious, kept down, depressed, riddled with anxiety. All of that because we lack faith in ourselves. It is vital to overcome this. So when you do, and I know you can, you will feel unstoppable. You will feel that life can be a joy to live, not fearing every moment because you might fail. Lack of faith in yourself can lead to what can be called comfortable unhappiness. That conscious or even unconscious way we believe that mediocrity is okay because it's familiar. Fear and lack of faith is what keeps us in unfulfilling situations. So take time to reflect on what truly brings you joy and identify areas where you merely are comfortable but not thriving. Take calculated risks to pursue happiness. If you fail, it's okay. Learn from it and move on. Learning from failure can even give you more faith in yourself because you know now what not to do, which can be just as important as knowing what to do. Friedrich Nietzsche once said, "The most intelligent men, like the strongest, find their happiness where others would find disaster. In the labyrinth, their delight is in self-mastery. They regard a difficult task as a privilege. It is to them a recreation to play with the burdens that would crush all others." The point he was saying there, having faith in yourself when armed with knowledge is a force to be reckoned with. Don't let anyone or anything control the faith that you can have in yourself. Only you can control that. Block out the negative. Capitalize on your capabilities and make the life that you want. Never lose faith under any circumstances. These 5 areas are, of course, not the only things holding us back, but, in fact, I would love to hear from you about other areas that we could talk about and work through. If it's bothering you, I am sure it is bothering other people. I find that as unique as we all can be, there are still basic human issues that plague us all. So if you go all the way back to episode 1, the intro episode, I talked about that as being a reason why I am doing this podcast. I have a lot of life experience. I've been through many ups and downs just like everybody else, and yet I am still learning, probably more now than ever, because our lives deserve that effort. If we can be true to ourselves, treat others with kindness and respect even when we don't agree on things, and help each other grow, that's the key, right? This country needs to move forward from where it is right now. And like ourselves, there is always room for improvement. Take the time to understand your roadblocks. Take the time to chip away at the issues that are causing those roadblocks, because what is more important than the lives we are living right now? You won't find happiness scrolling on your phone. You won't find happiness depending on others for your joy and direction. You can be the king or queen of your life, but it takes the stoic courage and wisdom to do it, and you can do it. It's worth it. It's always worth it. So what do you think? And man, I'd love to find out. Here's a way to get a hold of the show and let us know. These are in the show notes, but as always, here they are. On various platforms, you can send us a text message. There is a link that'll say, send us a text message. You can click that. It'll allow you to send me a message, and I'll see that. You can also email us at newvisionoldways@gmail.com. You can find us on what was Twitter, now X. Someday I'll stop saying that. At NewVision Old Way, and there's no S on it. Remember, at NewVision Old Way. And then there's also Facebook. So if you type in NewVision, one word, space Old Ways, one word, podcast, you should easily find us. And as a reminder, these are still growing platforms for us and expanding all the time. So we need your help to get the flow going with the communities. And last but not least, if you could do me a huge favor and subscribe to us, like us, follow us, leave a review on whatever platform you found us on. That would be so appreciated. That will also help secure guests like Joe Barnes. And you know what? Ray Manzarek didn't know he was going to be a guest, but we could secure somebody like that too as well, that we will be booking in the future. As I told you before, season 2 is going to be a great one with few surprises along the way, and I truly hope you are enjoying it. I can't wait to get your input, and I also can't wait till we get together for the next episode of New Vision, Old Ways. Until then, be safe, be cool to each other, and let's change the world. This episode of New Vision Old Ways has been engineered and produced by TKM Productions and your host, Tony Marinaccio.